Mr. Maimane, thank you very much for your time. Certainly that question you posed to the President in November last year on the Bosasa donation surely exceeded your expectations on the fallout it would cause. How did you come across that information?
Good morning, and good morning to fellow South Africans. Look, I think it's been common cause. Bosasa has been in the news since 2009. There's been very clear allegations against them, and it's been very clear that this business has been buying politicians for a long period of time. And so when there was raised a question of whether there'd be a payment even to the president or to the president's son, it should disturb all of us, because it confirms a system of corruption and patronage that's been set up where politicians are bought, they award contracts to a company, and so you create this vicious cycle. And so for me, my primary interest in the matter has always been about how do we break the system so that no other faction or no other political party will be able to repeat state capture.
So you're not willing to tell us how you specifically got a hold of the information around the 500,000 Rand donation?
Well, as with any other citizens, there were citizens who were concerned about this issue. They raised it with me, as they do continuously, because there are honest men and women in South Africa, some of them who were at Bosasa and others are in different places, who've come and stood strong and said, we will not put up with corruption, even if sometimes it's speaking against their own party. So I'm not interested in ANC internal politics. I'm trying to safeguard the state, and the people who are giving us information are doing so in the interests of South Africa.
Some critics, though, Mr. Maimane, says what you've done here exposes a profound lack of substance on the part of the DA since the May 8 elections, and that is that you're willing to do whatever it takes, throw mud as much as you can at Ramaphosa in order for you to benefit regardless of the consequences.
No, there's nothing further from the truth. The DA is the only party that, when you look at crucial matters facing South Africa, you will know I've written to Parliament requesting an urgent debate on the economy, which still remains front and center for us at 10.2 million South Africans who are unemployed. We're the only party that's tabled an alternative for national health insurance to make sure that citizens, regardless of where they come from, can gain access to universal health in a way that doesn't break the budget. We're the only party that's demonstrated that where in government, actually life does begin to improve and we stand up against corruption. We're the only party that when we come into Parliament have equally so demonstrated that accountability must apply to everybody, regardless of who you are. So I think when you look at it in totality, you realize that actually the DA as a party of government and a party as a future government in South Africa, we're the only ones who've tabled alternatives, we're the only ones who hold people to account. So I think it goes broader than just simply saying these leaks, etc. You will notice I've been on record speaking extensively about our economic position as a country, opposing things like the nationalization of healthcare, the nationalization of health, the nationalization of the Reserve Bank, which are all ANC's policies. And now next they want to nationalize people's pension funds by putting prescribed assets. We are the only party fighting against that, and we will continue to table an alternative vision for South Africa about how we depart from a state-led economic development to an economic development that focuses on how citizens can advance their lives.
Mr. Maimane, you went and laid a complaint to the public protector, Bosisiwe Mkhwebane. Now, some say you have been dishonest in your position around the public protector because, on the one hand, for 2 years now, you've been calling for her removal, saying that she is incompetent and dishonest. But on the other hand, you're happy to accept the report on Bosasa that she's produced. Critics are very clear. Mkhwebane can't be partially competent when it suits the DA.
The Executive Members Ethics Act requires that if there's a complaint about an individual potentially misleading Parliament, that complaint must go to the public protector. Now, I wish the law was written differently. I wish I could go to any other office. The facts on the table are I have to go to the public protector. Now, we never voted for Busisiwe Mkhwebane and certainly will want to push for her removal. But there is an office of the Public Protector which must be upheld, and I think both even the President and myself agree on that point. It's a Chapter 9 institution. It's the same as I might not like the head of the IEC or whatever, I might have my own issues, but the IEC as a Chapter 9 institution must be respected when it declares election results. So in this instance, if the President feels that he's been aggrieved and wants to take the report on review, he must be willing to do so. But what we know for now are the facts on this issue, not the opinion of the Public Protector, the facts. The facts are the President changed a statement in Parliament. Is that acceptable? Is it not acceptable? The fact is the President accepted money from Bosasa, a company that has been found to be corrupt. Is that acceptable in the South Africa that we look at? And
Mr.
furthermore, how do we make sure that
transparency, I'm sorry to
like Parliament is held?
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but in the interest of transparency, seeing that the DA is on this move of transparency, are you willing to tell the public who donated towards your party's campaign in the lead up to the May elections?
This is the law is being promulgated right now so that we can ensure that we know how that process is done.
The DA
and I'd be open to comply with the law when it comes through, because it became very clear that these things become used to, in fact, destroy companies that do so, that donate to opposition. This is the culture in South Africa. My interest has never been about this matter of campaign donations. It's about, in fact, whether or not the companies that donate to any political party, in fact, do so in order to gain business dealings afterwards. And we must interrogate that matter, and the DA would be willing to stand up and say, here's our donor list in a system that is fair, that is accountable, to be able to say, are those companies doing business with any governments that we're in? Or is the donations in exchange for that matter? I've always stood firm on that principle and will continue to do so.
Mr. Maimane, final two questions to you, please. Will you be brief for me? We're out of time. But you plan to go to the Constitutional Court on land expropriation without compensation. What's driving that? And then the last question, of course, you lead one of the major metros in the country, Johannesburg. The mayor, Herman Mashaba, is on the brink today. Have you made any arrangements, last-minute arrangements with the EFF?
On the first instance, I think the matter of private property rights is crucial for all South Africans, and that's why it's important for our economy, and we think that you don't need to amend the Constitution to be able to achieve land reform and land restitution. That's why that matter must be fought for in the Constitutional Court to ensure that the Constitution protects private property rights for both investment and for citizens. On the second matter in Johannesburg, it's very clear the fact that this is a spurious motion designed to undermine the work that Herman Mashaba has been doing. Even the customer satisfaction survey in Johannesburg shows that there's already been an increase of over 11% in how citizens of Johannesburg are improving services and are receiving services in Johannesburg. Therefore, it would be an absolute crime for Herman Mashaba to be removed in a world where citizens are becoming increasingly satisfied with that. And so we're working hard with our coalition partners to say, let's go out and let's continue the good work that's been happening in that city. And we've sought to engage with everybody across all the councillors to come out today and vote against this motion that has really no basis. There's been no reason why this motion should be on the order paper. No crime has been committed, no money has been stolen. Therefore, I'm uncertain what the ANC is trying to achieve here.
Right, thank you very much for your time. DA Leader Musa Maimane, live for us in our Cape Town studios.